Author and investigative journalist Michael Wolff has revealed that he has, in his words, hundreds of hours of taped conversations with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He revealed this on an episode of his podcast, Fire and Fury, last week, which, of course, is also the name of the book he published about Trump in the White House. And that, of course, when he was doing research for it, is where he got the interviews with Jeff Epstein. And according to what Wolff revealed on his podcast late last week, not only was Donald Trump closer friends with Epstein than anybody realized, but he was also apparently friends with Epstein for a hell of a lot longer than Donald Trump has claimed. Now, Trump had claimed in interviews long before he ever ran for public office that, he knew Epstein in the 90s, but, they had a bit of a falling out. They kind of separated, didn't really have much contact with one another, didn't hang out anymore. And Epstein himself, in these audio tapes that Wolff has, admitted, that ain't the case at all. In fact, Donald Trump, according to Epstein, consulted with Epstein while he was president. Let me read you this. This is directly from the tape of Epstein. Epstein says his people fight each other and then they have outsiders. He sort of poisons the well outside. He will tell 10 people, Bannon's a scumbag and Priebus is not doing a good job and Kelly has a big mouth. What do you think? Jamie Dimon says that you're a problem and I shouldn't keep you. And I spoke to Carl Icahn and Carl thinks I need a new spokesperson. So Kellyanne, even though I hired Kellyanne's husband, Kellyanne is just too much of a wild card. And then he tells Bannon, I really want to keep you, but Kellyanne hates you. That is Epstein recalling, conversations he had with Donald Trump while Trump was in the White House. That is the shocking part to me. This next part, some of y'all may find this a little more shocking, but to me, the fact that he was still communicating with this man after his first conviction while he was sitting in the White House, that immediately should be disqualifying. This should be the biggest news. Why is this not blowing up everywhere? Good God, people, what more is it going to take? The election is tomorrow. This seems like an important piece of information that everybody needs to be made aware of. But Wolff continues. Epstein also shared photos from the late 90s of Trump surrounded by topless young women at Epstein's home in Palm Beach, Florida, where the disgraced financier victimized dozens of underage girls alongside his friend Ghislaine Maxwell. And Wolff said, in some of the pictures, they're sitting in his lap. And then there's one, because Epstein showed him the photos. Just to make sure we're clear. Epstein had the photos on him. Then there's one I especially remember where there's a stain, a telltale stain on the front of Trump's pants, and the girls are pointing at him and laughing. So either Trump peed himself or something else came out while these young women were sitting on his lap. I don't think we need to get too imaginative to figure out what was going on there. But then there's this. The FBI discovered the photos in Epstein's safe when the agency raided his home in 2019, but never released the images to the public. Wolff described the photographs when discussing how he used Epstein as a main source for his book Fire and Fury. So the FBI had these photographs. Right? We know that Jeffrey Epstein has these underage girls and does these big parties, and famous people from, all over the world really would show up to these parties. And the FBI in 2019 got their hands on that photograph of Donald Trump having some premature fun, we'll call it, with potentially underage girls. And these photographs were never released to the public. Now, that's not surprising, right? 2019, let's see, who was the president? Who was in charge of the government in 2019 that could have prevented the release of these photographs to the public? Donald Trump was. We all know that. This is a cover-up at this point. This is absolutely a conspiracy to prevent this information from coming out in a way that would have hurt Donald Trump's re-election chances back in the 2020 election. This has to be unsealed. These have to be released. I don't care if it's embarrassing for Donald Trump. The public has to be aware of these things. We have to know what happened inside his Department of Justice that was being run by Attorney General Bill Barr at the time. We have to know if there was any kind of official, interference from the Trump administration to say, don't release these photographs. Hide all this intelligence. Keep it hidden from the public. What happened in this administration? And to all those people out there who continuously tell us that, Hillary Clinton is probably the one who took care of Epstein while he was in jail. Bullcrap. If you still believe that after learning this information, then there is no helping you, right? If something diabolical happened to Epstein, I'm willing to bet it was probably from the guy that was in charge of the federal government and who had access to the prison. And for the record, there are reports that Bill Barr visited that prison several days before Epstein died. That's not a conspiracy. That's what's being reported. That's what was reported at the time. That was what was reported before Epstein was no longer alive. All of this taken together is shocking. It absolutely destroys Donald Trump's timeline of when he stopped hanging out with Epstein. He was clearly communicating with him while he was in the White House. And this information, for the record, is technically not even new. This was discussed in Michael Wolff's book, Fire and Fury. And the Trump administration, the Trump campaign, is actually accusing him of releasing it now because he's a no-good Harris supporter. They said, quote, in a statement, Michael Wolff is a disgraced writer who routinely fabricates lies in order to sell fiction books because he clearly has no morals or ethics. He waited until days before the election to make outlandish false smears, all in an effort to engage in blatant election interference on behalf of Kamala Harris. He's a failed journalist that is resorting to lying for attention. If he's telling the truth, he can actually sue you for defamation, by the way. And I have no reason to doubt him. He is not a failed journalist. He is not a hack. He has not been a guy who's known for lying. He's never actually really even been accused of any of that until just now with your statement, because you know how damaging this information could be to your campaign. And I think the media clearly does too. They should be talking about this. This should be the front page news. This should be the, I guess at this point, November surprise. But of course, the media, as per usual, falls down on the job. So this story becomes another one that after you watch this, it's probably the last you're ever going to hear about it. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.